I'm going to move us on to the next division that we think is starting to flip and heat up and is incredibly tight at the top with the top three teams, and that's the AFC South. It was an all AFC South matchup over the weekend, actually, wasn't it? Which I didn't
Yeah.
realize until I was doing research. I was like, "Oh right, well the AFC South teams play each other. It was their week to all play each other." The Jacksonville Jaguars obviously came up on top against the Tennessee Titans, 25-3. And then the Houston Texans in that really close game against Indianapolis Colts won 20-16. And we said it last week. We did a segment on it. It's worrying time for the Colts. It's worrying time.
Yeah.
You look. I won't stick on the Colts too long because we did a whole section on it last week, and I don't want to rinse and repeat. But they've got an incredibly tough schedule to close out the season. You're putting in the hand of Daniel Jones, where we're seeing it's not overly working when you put it in his hands. You've got to put it in Jonathan Taylor's hands. That's how you win games. However, I did come up with the 5-2 when Daniel Jones has thrown more, but that is stats on a piece of paper. You also got to look at who they've beaten, of which we said last week. They've not really beaten anyone. They've lost to the teams that are good as well, apart from the Chargers, and they beat the Texans early doors. They beat the 49ers early doors. And they beat the Chiefs, I suppose, but people don't think the Chiefs are all that good. So we won't stick on the Colts too long. Like I said, we're just rinsing and repeating that, aren't we, really? The Jags, you know what? I say that. I've completely read that wrong. That's the Jag schedule I've just read. So they beat the Broncos, sorry.
Yeah.
And that's it, really. Sorry. I've just read the Jag schedule rather than the Jags. We'll flip on to the Jags though.
The Colts have beaten the Broncos and the Chargers.
Yes.
But that's as good as it's got, really. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's as good as it's got.
And they've won one of the last 1, 2, 3, 4. One of the last 4. They've lost the Steelers, the Chiefs in overtime, now the Texans.
Yeah.
Back on the Jags though, seems I was just reading their schedule incorrectly. They're a really weird team, aren't they? Like really strange, because their defense is pretty all right. It's pretty okay.
Yeah.
Their wide receivers, I mean, Travis Hunter now out for the year, obviously. That's been the last few weeks. Brian Thomas sort of got a little bit ignored for a good portion of this season, even though he was meant to be sort of the breakout star of this season. We saw Liam Cohen come in, and you looked at what he did with the offense with Baker in Tampa, and you're like, wow, like Trevor Lawrence with his offense, with that offensive mind, this could be fireworks. Even though we know they're the Jacksonville Jaguars, it could be fireworks, because I still subscribe to believe that Trevor Lawrence has got something. I do think he has. I just, but and then they run the ball pretty okay. Their O-line's not too bad. Like everything's just not that bad. I don't think. Whereas people, I think, like to think that they're really bad, but I just think that they're a really puzzling team. Like I said, they've only lost to the Bengals, the Texans, the Seahawks and the Rams. The Seahawks and the Rams, good teams. Texans, division game, good team. Bengals, that was when Burrow was playing at that point, right? That was week 2. So
Yeah.
and they lost. It was close. They lost 31.
That was the one he got injured in, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe so. So yeah, it was 31-27. So that was a close game. And then, I mean, close with Seattle, 20-12. I mean, Texans game the other week was 36-29. I just think, I just don't really know what to think about this team, to be honest with you. They have the capability to blow out this division, and then they have the capability to not make the playoffs at all.
Yeah, so the only real blowout that they've had was in London against the Rams. That was the real sort of like the downside, and they went on their bye afterwards. And then after that bye, there's been a real sort of like turnaround where the offense, the lowest score that they've hit is 25, which was last week, and they do seem to have turned things around offensively since then. And they have gone up against some good defenses during that time. They've played the Texans and put 29 points on them. They've played the Chargers and put 35 points on them. So the offense is clearly, there's been a difference. And I think defensively, I think the best word for the Jags is all right defensively. They're not a top 10, but they're kind of in the middle of the league, and they're doing okay.
They cause you some problems.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's probably fair that's where they are. Where the problem is, and actually, in fairness to them, it does feel like they've sorted this out a little bit since the bye week. Before the bye, it felt like they won one, then lost one, and you never really knew what you were going to get, and it was a bit all over the place. Since the bye week, like I said, they scored a lot more points. They've won what 4 out of 5
Yeah.
weeks in after the bye, and they just generally look a little bit of a better team than what they were. Now, the one thing that you've got to take into account with them is that they're very, very good against the run, not very good against the pass. But you're going up against the Colts team twice in these next 5 weeks. You've also
Mhm.
got the Jets and the Titans, which are teams that they should be beating.
Yeah.
So it does feel like,
Broncos is that one where I'm like, that's a
yeah, yeah,
mouthful. You're gonna lose that
that's a
game.
tough one.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, the idea that this Jacksonville team could potentially be 12-5. I
It's
mean,
outrageous, isn't it?
it says a lot about the standard of the NFL at
Mm.
the moment.
It does. I mean,
Mm.
well, I won't reveal too much, but I've got them plus 10 wins. I've got
Yeah.
them plus 10 wins because I just think that there's not loads to like. There's not loads to dislike. They've got the weapons. They've got the ammunition. They've got the head coach.
Mm.
I don't think Liam Cohen's done a bad job at all. I think what he
No.
needs is a very strong defensive-minded head coach to sort of complement him and allow him to be a little bit more creative in what he wants to do. And that's
Yeah.
what he got with the head coach in Tampa. And I think he needs that complimentary. And his first time head coach. This is learning. This is training wheels stuff. But the problem is when you look at another offensive minded head coach over in the NFC North with Ben Johnson, the Bears, and how dominant he's been and how good it's going for them, you sort of then that's then the standard bearer, isn't it? And
Yeah.
then you sort of then go starting comparing them. But I think he's done an okay job, but he's done a good job with them. I think 8-4 can't be sniffed at, to be honest with you.
No.
You know,
No,
the
not
the
at all. And
the Bears are 8-3 in the NFC North, and everyone's like, Ben Johnson's a mastermind. And you've taken this Jags team to 8-4, and this team was picking in the top 5 of the draft last year. And
yeah.
so he's clearly better than what they had. He's clearly better than what they had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Go on, sorry, apologies.
the concern for me regarding the Jaguars is always going to be Trevor Lawrence. I
Mhm.
just don't think that he's good enough. I mean, his pass completion percentage is under 60% this season, and I think that needs to be way higher if they've got any chance of being able to do anything. So it kind of feels a little bit like they're a team that are where they are because they haven't had to play that many difficult teams.
Mm.
And what will probably end up happening is that if they do make themselves a playoff team and they do get into the mix for it, that eventually they're going to come up against a strong defense, and that will be the end of them.
I'm sorry. I think you're a little bit wrong in the sense of who have they beat, sort of thing. They beat the Texans week 3. They only just lose to the Bengals in week 2. They beat the 49ers. They beat the Chiefs. Okay, they lose to the Seahawks and they lose to the Rams in London. Like they're all pretty. That's a stretch there of what 2 4 5 games where they were 3-2. That's a pretty.
Yeah, I
That's a pretty
think
good stretch, to be honest.
I feel like I could come out with reasons as to why all of that's happened.
Yeah, I get where you're
That's
coming
that's the problem. I mean, the Chiefs one is a good win. I give like against the Chiefs, that is a good win. The 49ers, they were banged up like anything, had loads
from.
of injuries. The Texans, CJ Stroud's been awful most of the season.
Mm.
They've hardly done anything, and then they've gone and lost to the Seahawks and the Rams.
Is
So, you know, there's
is
not
that
there's not a lot.
is that what's holding back the Texans in the minute? I mean, they're 7-5, and their
Yeah,
defense
yeah, it
is
was not the defense. The defense has
the
been great
most
all
incredible
season.
defense going.
Um, they look far more attacking with Davis Mills than
Mm.
what they have done with CJ Stroud. It's been really, really strange, and it's just not for whatever reason. It's just not working that great. Now I know they won last week and they beat the Colts. They did well, but that was largely due to the defense that sorted that out. I mean, you've got a Colts team that has done really, really well over these
Mm.
last few games, but as we saw, the way to stop the Colts is to stop the run. We saw that with the
Yeah.
Chiefs. We've now seen that with the Texans. Well, the Texans did that. That's how come the Colts only got 16. But the Texans are hardly putting up massive numbers, apart from against the Jags and the 49ers, in fairness. They did well against them. And the Ravens very early, when the Ravens had all of them injuries.
Yeah, they won 44-10 in that one, yeah.
It feels like it's very defense heavy, and that's
Mm.
what's keeping them going, that's no bad thing. That, a lot of teams, that's how they win and they get there. If anything, a lot of the teams that are very strong on the defense and maybe not so strong on the offense tend to be the ones that go on and, can win.
Yeah.
But it does feel a little bit like if your defense is very good and you go up against another good defense, it's like if you took the Texans against the Broncos, both really good defenses, you sort of think to yourself, who would you take on the offense? Would you take Bo Nix or would you take
Take CJ Stroud at this
CJ
point.
Stroud?
I'm
And I
I'm
think
not
I think
I'm
I'd
not
take Bo Nix.
I'm not ready to be out on CJ Stroud though. He's got too much.
I wouldn't say I'm out on him. I just
I
don't
think he's
feel like it's happening this year.
dangerously trudging into Trevor Lawrence territory, isn't he?
A little bit,
That's
yeah,
the
a little bit.
that's the problem. Is he's not
And I actually think some of it is the play calling. You've got a defensive-minded head coach. A lot of it is quite conservative and a lot of
a
run.
lot of run
So
heavy.
I don't think it's all on Stroud.
And he has consistent. It's Nico Collins and no one else. I know they drafted the lads from the two rookies, but
Yeah,
they're not pulling up
Higgins and
trees.
all, yeah.
And I know they sort of went off on Stephon Diggs and let him go, but having him almost did compliment Nico Collins a bit. And obviously they get consistently get injuries at at that position as well. But they just consistently get injuries at the running back position. But Willie Marks has been
Yeah.
absolutely sublime this year. I mean, he's playing really, really well. I think, I don't know. Do you think 9-8 gets you into the playoffs?
On the AFC side,
I don't think
let
it
me
does.
let me think. Does it get? No, I think it might be a bit tight. Just thinking. What have you got? You've got
Let's say division winners. So let's just call it what it is at the minute. I think so. Patriots, Ravens, Jags, and Denver, and then you've got Chargers, Chiefs, Bills, Colts, Texans, sort of coming up the rear. I suppose.
yeah.
That's 5.
I think 9 and 8. It's going to be tight, isn't it, to get in on 9 and 8? I think you're probably looking at 10.
That's what I've got the Colts at.
You
I
got the
think it'll
Colts
be
winning 10.
no. I've got them winning 9.
Oh, winning 9.
I think it'll be a colossal comeback to earth for them. I really do. I mean, they're at the Jags. I'm not sure they win that after losing 2 in a row. You're pretty dejected. You're at Seattle. That's a loss for me.
When we were talking about the Colts, we were saying these defenses they're going up against are very good against the run.
Yeah, exactly. Jags. Then they host the 49ers, host the Jags at the Texans. I know we have one more team in this division. It's the Titans. They're going to win 2 games all year. It's 2-15. I think they might beat the Saints, and that's about it to close out.
Okay.
So they're not competing. But I've got the Jags and Texans, similarly to what I said for the AFC North on same records. Only they have 10+ wins. They both go 11-6.
Yeah, I think the Jags have got a very good chance of getting 4 more wins out of this. I think.
So because we've not really said it, the Jags are hosting the Colts, hosting the Jets, at the Broncos, at the Colts, hosting the Titans. So they beat the Jets, they beat the Titans, and I think they beat the Colts once, maybe.
Right, so you've got them, so they go 11-6, I think is probably fair.
And then Texans, I've got 11-6. They're at the Chiefs. I think they lose that. They host the Cardinals, host the Raiders. They win both of those. They're at the Chargers, and I think they beat the Colts on the last game of the season.
What do you have them for the Chargers, though? You haven't beaten the Chargers.
No, I'm losing against Chargers. So they
Right.
lose 2
So
games. That's 11-6 as well.
no, they're 1 game short. They're 7-5 at the moment.
Okay, maybe I've got them maybe beating the Chargers or maybe beating the
Okay.
Chiefs. I don't know. Either way,
But
when I looked
the
earlier, I
point
took
is
11-6.
that they're probably 11. So you'd have the Jags at 11, the Colts at 10. I think
Nah,
that's that.
Colts at 9.
Sorry, the Texans at 10 and the
Yeah,
Colts at 9. I think that probably makes sense based on where they are. I must admit, I feel like at the moment the Colts are still favourites to win the division, which personally I think is just not
it's a big
priced up right. I think that's literally just been done because they've had they've looked good, and the numbers show that they've got a strong offense and that they've done well so far this season. But I think, like you say, they are dropping off a bit. And yeah, I mean, I kind of have Jacksonville winning it. I think that they will. I think they just sneak it past the Texans. I think the Texans probably don't beat the Chargers, and that's the difference there for me. But I think they both get in. I think 10 wins gets you in to the
Yeah.
playoffs. But I don't think 9. I think it's too tight. So yeah, I
God,
think.
when the Colts were what 7-1, what 1, 2,
Well,
5
yeah, they
weeks.
were 7-1, 8-2, weren't they?
Yeah,
So
5 weeks ago, would you have gone? Oh well, actually, the Jags and the Texans are going to go 10-game
yeah,
plus wins and go to the playoffs, and the Colts
no.
won't.
I mean,
With 9
that's
and 8.
what's so mental about the way that the NFL works and how it can just flip like that. But yeah, it's a very tight division. But yeah, I've got the Jags winning it, and that's mental in itself.